So in the last video, I spoke about the overall design of my campaign contract. I'm now going to move over to the Remix editor and start writing my code to implement the contract. Once I finish the implementation, I'm going to then introduce the React side of my project to put together a really nice looking front end for this thing. So I'm basically going to head over to my Chrome browser, and I already have open my Remix editor, and you can access it by going to remix.ethereum.org. And hopefully you can see this here. I'm not going to spell out Ethereum. I'm just going to keep moving forward. So this is all work from the previous smart contract. So I'm just going to basically highlight all this and delete it like so. And I'm going to start working inside of here immediately by defining my new contract. So I'm going to call this contract campaign because that is what it really is. It's okay to call it crowdfunding campaign, or project campaign, whatever you want, but I'm going to call it just campaign. So I'll call it campaign. And I could, well, anyway, so the first function and variable is what I'm going to define, and that's going to be around handling the manager. So this is going to be like, first of all, like the address of the person who creates and manages this campaign. So in this contract, I'm going to tell my contract that's going to have a variable called address. I'm going to make it public, and its name is going to be manager, like so. So this is another case where I have no problem what the address for the manager, or letting, having public the address for the manager. In fact, for a crowdfunding campaign, I probably want this information to be public. I want users to figure out who the manager is. I think if you understand who's working with the money for a given campaign, I think it'll instill more confidence. So underneath, I'm going to define the function like so. I'm going to say function, campaign, and this is also going to be public. So inside of this function, I'm going to take the address of the manager or the person creating the contract and assign it to the manager variable like so. So manager gets msg.sender. Okay. Now I've used this MSG global variable before. I don't have to define it or do anything. It's a variable that it's immediately available, and the sender property defines who is trying to create the contract. So let's take care of the minimum contribution, this piece here. So the minimum contribution is a unsigned integer, and it's the minimum donation required to be considered a contributor or approver. So this time around, I'm going to acknowledge that different people have different minimum funding requirements. So I'm going to take this as an argument into the function, and I'm going to say that whenever someone creates a new instance of a campaign, they should be passing in a uint or an unsigned integer of minimum. And that's going to look like so. So minimum contribution, I said will be minimum, like so. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. Now, I've not yet initialized this variable. So underneath the address, I'm going to have a uint that is also public and called minimum contribution. So underneath it here, let's say uint, I'm going to say public and minimum contribution. So, all right. All right, so I've defined my two variables and the constructor function, and that's all I'm going to take care of in this video. In a subsequent video, I'm going to work more on on some more variables and functions, so stay tuned.